What's up, guys? It's the Reality Grizzly, back for more reality realness. We're about to break down the third and final part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, but first, before I do, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get it. So we jump back into the mess of Porsha and Shamea of it all, baby, and they are not taking their foot off each other's necks.
So give me the benefit of the doubt.
Andy brings up the fact that Porsha made Shamea a happy birthday post on Instagram, and Porsha cuts him off saying, and she still continued her smear campaign after that. Then saying, why do you want to fight with me? Shamea is like, because you lied and said something egregious about my mother. She says, anytime someone asks me about your mom, I say that's none of my business. But child Andy asks anyway, saying, so what happened between the mothers? And Porsha has at it. She says their moms were best friends and in the child care industry, and when Miss Diane found out her location was going into foreclosure, Shamea's mom allegedly went behind Diane's back and bought the building. Shamea denied it, and Porsha continues to say they found out when they drove past it that they were taking down their sign and putting up Shamea's. Now, Shamea does say they weren't talking for years prior, which we'll never figure out how true that is. But in my opinion, the childcare shenanigans was not the cause of the issues between the mothers. It has to go back years prior, and unfortunately, that's none of our business. Shamea even said they were beefing about something else that she doesn't want to get into, and that's the reason for the mother's fallouts. Andy agrees to leave the mother situation alone. Cynthia vouches for Porsha letting Shamea know that Britt was the one that said she showed the text messages to her and said Porsha brushed it off, not feeding into it. Shamea apologized to Porsha for speaking to the ladies about the relationship, even though she feels like the things that were said were brought back incorrectly or with some kind of sauce on it. Porsha says, we have a private friendship group outside of the show, and there are two ladies. Apparently they came back and told Porsha that Shamea is saying that Porsha didn't want her on the show, and she finds it ironic that they're echoing the same things that is being. Shamea doubles down, and Porsha is like, Andy, haven't I always said I wanted Shamea on the show and as a housewife? And Andy is like, yes. Now that's huge. Andy as an executive producer vouching for Porsha are major brownie points for her. And Shamea kind of looks surprised by that reveal. Then the two ladies get into it over possibly ruining Shamea's engagement due to the whole kissing Candy and screwing Candy allegations. And Porsha is like, you had a part in ruining your own engagement. You kiss Candy, I kiss Candy. Porsha says out of all the press interviews she's done, she's never disparaged their friendship like Shamea has in her interviews, and says Shamea has had many moments to clear things up with her, like at the one-on-one they had or during the conversations on the phone. Shamea says she wouldn't have known there was any beef between them if Cynthia hadn't come letting her know how Porsha was feeling. Andy asks Cynthia where she thinks the friendship should go between Porsha and Shamea. Now I'm thinking, why are we asking Cynthia about a friendship? But anyway, she says when you come on a platform like this, everything is magnified. She says, please take baby steps to get back and do not throw this friendship away. Drew's package was up next. She talks about her kids being in therapy, the viral clip of her and Ralph cooking together. Now, I'm going to be honest, when I saw it initially, I was like, So is all of this stuff we're seeing from them on the show conjured up for a storyline? But then she does express that they were trying to co-parent better until Ralph started Ralphing again. Andy brings up the odd court orders they've received, allowing Drew to stay upstairs and Ralph to stay downstairs in the basement. Drew is like, it's in the order, it's public record to read, and Porsha says it's normal. She went through it with Cordell, saying as soon as you file for divorce, everything is in a stay. That is very strange. I wonder if that's just an Atlanta thing. Porsha says, so Drew, you recently said Ralph had someone down in that basement, and you saw it on camera, right? Drew is like, it's a gated community, so when you come through, you have to give your ID, and then they're all alerted on a portal. Drew said when she saw the name, she looked her up on Instagram and then said she went to lunch at her daughter's school, and the woman was there. She said the woman was mean-mugging Drew and approached her asking what her name was. That is way out of order. Ralph, you have a mess to clean up on aisle 3 and 4. Then Kelly and Drew get into it about Drew not spending money at the Balmain event, which was to raise awareness for osteogenesis imperfecta, which is what Kelly is going through with her twin girls. Drew insists that she did buy something, but what she wanted, they didn't have in her size, so she had to have it ordered, not realizing that anything not purchased in the store, the proceeds didn't go to the cause. So I can see where Drew was coming from with this situation. Like, how was she supposed to know that? Drew comes clean about actually not being related to Michael Jordan, saying it was just a joke. Even though she wasn't saying that until Angela fact checked it on the show and then pressed her about it. I need you to know the difference between a joke and a lie. That's my biggest gripe with her. But with that being said, I do not dislike Drew. I see y'all saying that under my posts, under my videos, my comments. I don't hate Drew. I just want Drew to do less acting and more living in her reality, transparent and truthfully. And I said what I said. But Drew does tell them they need to laugh a little bit more, and that could be true also. Porsha wasn't feeling the way Shamea ran back what Drew said to her in the studio about paying for PJ's college. She said it was cringy when she saw it, but the way it was brought back made it worse, attributing that to the fact or to the tension that Porsha and Drew had this season. I do think Porsha is singing a different tune now that her and Shamea aren't close because I don't care. Drew was wrong for bringing up PJ in any way, form, or fashion. Kids are off limits for the millionth time unless the parents bring them up. It's really that simple. And better yet, Drew should have known PJ's parents don't need a handout seeing that they are well off themselves. Shamea tells Drew, you said it, you meant it, and it was shady when you said it, but I'm going to stay out of it. And Drew was like, yeah, well, you should. Drew confronts Porsha about sitting down with Ralph and filming with him after she says she already expressed to her how Ralph was publicly humiliating her. And Porsha says, well, Drew, I didn't know what to believe. I thought it was fake. I can't keep up with the lies. See, I told y'all she'd be lying. Y'all wanted to drag me in the comments. Andy brings up Drew and Ty Young's relationship and asks if that's the main reason for the divorce from Ralph. She says they're friends, and the ladies question her due to the amount of time she spends on the phone with her, allegedly 3,000 minutes a month. The ladies don't buy it, and then Andy asks about Drew and Black. Drew says they're also friends. He has the #1 hookah brand, and she presents all the ladies with a hookah pen, which is dope. Apparently these are the ones with nicotine and tobacco free, so that's even better. Drew says Dennis is not her type when she's asked about the relationship in the studio, and also adds that she will be excited to bring her new love interest on the show when she has one, and adds randomly out of the blue, I heard Porsha was on a date in Buckhead with the African, and Porsha is like, it's probably true. I love my Africans. That's how you deflect the shade, honey, because Drew was definitely trying to spray Porsha with her own tea. Up next, the men join the show. All three of them look great. Dennis clears up whether or not he communicated with Porsha about working with Drew. He says he asked Ralph for permission man to man, and he wanted Drew to talk to Porsha woman to woman. But Dennis, as the one in the tricky, sticky situation, you should have talked to Ralph and Porsha. Porsha is like, so we had a conversation, question mark, question mark. He said they had a small conversation about it, but expected Drew to clear the rest up with Porsha considering they're all friends. Drew is like, Dennis, you said you had a conversation with Porsha, and Porsha is like, well, he didn't. Then they got into the booty for beats text that allegedly insinuated that Drew was trying to sleep with Dennis in exchange for working with her, which was ridiculous from the jump. Andy asks Dennis if he ever sees himself getting back with Porsha, and he says he loves her and she's back on the market, so you never know. He also added he's hoping to see Porsha and Shamea reconcile. He speaks on his date with Britt and his relationship with Kelly. He says Britt was long before he knew Porsha, and when it came to Kelly, it was a business relationship, and she confirmed, so she blew that up earlier this season when she said Dennis was in her DMs too, like, girl. Ralph denied the woman in the basement, but says there was a woman who came to the house, but she didn't come inside. He said it was fitness content for a fitness program. Now, are we believing that? I don't know, but I'm going to let God be the judge. But he does say when there are no cameras, the relationship is so much better, and it confuses him when she acts the complete opposite on the show. There's that acting thing I told y'all about. Charles says Angela did well this season. He also clarifies he is not the kind of person to be all over Angela on TV and putting on for the camera. He said she knows he loves her and the kids, and that's why he's there. I do want to give Charles a standing ovation and an MVP award because for someone of his stature to be there every step of the season was commendable. So shout out to Charles Oakley. He combats the rumors that he was hiding his marriage and said, no, I wasn't hiding it. I don't know who's married here either. He gathers Shamea for saying she knows him. Shamea is like, I met you at a wedding. And Charles is like, I was there, but I didn't meet you. Now, Shamea did come out with the photos proving Charles may have just forgotten. I mean, he is a superstar and a legend. He's not going to remember everybody he comes across, but the proof was still there. Baby, then Charles leans into Phaedra, who says she's been in the room several times with Charles. She says she remembers when he dated Sheree. Charles said, why does everybody say that they know me just because I dated Sheree? She said, I have been in your presence on numerous occasions. Angela buckles down next on Phaedra about being in the same room as them. Charles asks the ladies, where are y'all's husbands? That's what I want. Andy asks Charles, when did he date our friend Sheree? And Charles says they dated in 2005, 6, 7, and they took all kind of trips to Dubai. But Angela praises Sheree for the fact that she's not hanging around and she's able to let go, unlike some of the other women that he's dated in the past. Ooh. They brought up the Wendy Williams and the whole side baby thing, and Angela even brings up the fact that Wendy Williams tried to date Charles while they were married. Messy. Y'all know Wendy was messy, honey. They get into the strain in their relationship, causing them to live apart during the time that Charles was banned from Madison Square Garden. Charles says, but with therapy, things have gotten better, and says it helps him hold himself more accountable. Andy wraps up the reunion by being grateful that Porsha and Drew are in a better place. Kelly says she will do better with who she picks to be her friends and hopes the best for Porsha and Shamea. And he asks Phaedra how it felt to be back, and she says she had a great time and would do it 1,000,000 times more. Angela gives thanks to the Fangelas and also thankful that her mom got to be on the show. Andy gives Cynthia her flowers for holding down the ladies and being a friend of. Shamea says she's learned to be more open and that she hopes in the future to build more alliances with all of the ladies. Porsha said it's been a rough season, but she doesn't blame anyone but herself and even has a little message for her. I'm going to take that as the door isn't completely closed, and I'm happy about that. Also, Shamea recently came out on her YouTube channel apologizing once more to all the ladies. Take a look.
My elders and my family, they never steer me wrong, so I just want to start by saying to all of the ladies on Sweet 16 cast, starting with Porsha, Drew, Angela, Britt, Kenya, Cynthia, Kelly. I'm sorry. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Phaedra even coming in at the end. I'm sorry. If I've ever offended you, if I've made you feel less than, inferior, if I insulted you, hurt you, in any way, I'm sorry.
Like Cynthia said, baby steps, but I do feel like they can move past this with a proper conversation, acknowledging their wrongdoings and taking accountability. They'll be just fine. This third part of the reunion was definitely won by Drew. She did her big one. What do you guys think of the third and final part of the RHOA reunion? Do y'all think everyone will be back next season? Chime in, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.